Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to create and manage relationships in Power BI Desktop. Let's start with how to create relationships. In Power BI Desktop, there are two common ways to do this. The first method is to use the Manage Relationships dialog box. From there, you can manually choose the two tables you want to relate by selecting their primary key and foreign key columns. The second method, my preferred approach, is to use the model view and simply drag and drop to connect your keys. Just click a foreign key column, drag your mouse to the matching primary key column, and release. It's quick, intuitive, and very visual. Now let's open a Power BI file and add these relationships. First, I'll demonstrate the slower method using the Manage Relationships dialog box. Click the Manage Relationships button in the Home tab, and you'll see a few options. You can even choose Auto Detect, which tells Power BI to scan your tables and create relationships automatically. If you're not sure what your relationships should look like, this can be a helpful starting point. Power BI usually gets some of them right, although it often misses others. You can also make auto detection the default setting. Just go to File Options and Settings Options, and under Data Load, enable Auto Detect New Relationships after data is loaded. For now, let's ignore Auto Detect and create a new relationship manually. I deleted all the auto-generated relationships from the model. After clicking the Manage Relationships button, choose New. Here, I'm going to connect our Orders table to the DIM Customers table. Even before I select any columns, Power BI automatically detects the matching key columns, in this case, the customer number in both tables, and shows us additional details like cardinality and cross-filter direction. In Power BI, cardinality describes how the values in one table relate to the values in another. It determines how many rows in one table can match how many rows in the other. Power BI supports four types of cardinality: one-to-many, many-to-one, one-to-one, and many-to-many. The most common, and the one you should aim for, is one-to-many. This creates a clean, predictable filter direction from your dimension table to your fact table. For example, in a customers table, each customer ID appears once. But in an orders table, the same customer ID can appear many times. That forms a one-to-many relationship, allowing you to filter orders by customer. A many-to-one relationship is just the reverse. The concept is the same. A one-to-one relationship is rare. It means each key appears exactly once in both tables. In most cases, it's better to merge these tables in Power Query. For example, if each employee ID appears only once in both the employee and employee details tables, that's a one-to-one match. Finally, there's many-to-many, which is the most complex type. Both tables contain repeated key values, so Power BI can't determine which table should behave like the dimension. This makes filter direction ambiguous. Because of that, many-to-many relationships should be avoided unless absolutely necessary. Let's look at an example using a student's table and a teacher's table. Both tables contain repeated course values, which creates a many-to-many relationship. To fix this, we create a bridge table that contains a unique list of courses. Then we build two one-to-many relationships. Bridge course to student's course. Bridge course to teacher's course. Once those relationships are created, filtering works perfectly across all three tables. Now, let's talk briefly about cross-filter direction. This setting controls how filters flow between related tables. There are two options: single direction and bidirectional. Single direction is the most common and recommended. It usually goes from the dimension table to the fact table. Bidirectional is used only when filtering needs to flow both ways. For example, in many-to-many relationships or when a bridge table must filter two different tables. Alright, let's get back to the Manage Relationships window. After choosing the correct cardinality in cross-filter direction, simply click Save, then Close, and the relationship becomes active. When you hover over a relationship line, Power BI highlights the key columns used to create that connection. And that's the first method, the manual approach. The easier method is to click and drag. For example, to connect dim date to orders, I just grab the order date field from orders, drag it up, and drop it onto the matching key in dim date. Click Save, and the relationship is created. Let's do the same with dim stores. I grab the store number foreign key from orders and drag it to the store number field in dim stores. Another relationship created, quick and simple. Before connecting dim products, let me switch back to report view for a moment. When we look at defective amounts by product number, we can see it does not get the correct result, because the tables weren't related yet. They were completely isolated and couldn't talk to each other. Now let's return to the model. Grab the product code from orders, drag it onto product code in dim products, and click Save. When we go back to the report again, we can now see the correct effective amounts broken down by product number in dim products. So with just a few simple drag and drop actions and a couple of clicks, we've created all the necessary table relationships. Now let's talk about managing and editing relationships in Power BI. Managing and editing relationships in Power BI is actually very simple and intuitive. In the model view, you'll find the Manage Relationships option. This opens a list of all existing relationships in your data model and provides tools to add, edit, or delete them. When you select a relationship and click Edit, Power BI will show you more details, including which two tables are involved, which columns are being used to connect them, for example, the primary key and foreign key, options to activate or deactivate the relationship, the cardinality and cross-filter direction settings. These controls make it easy to adjust how tables relate to each other. Let's look at a quick demo example using the relationships view. Suppose we have an orders table with two date fields, order date and ship date. Currently, the relationship to the dim date table uses order date as the foreign key. But what if we want to switch the relationship to use ship date instead? We need to go to Home tab, then Manage Relationships. Find the existing order date to dim date relationship. Click Edit. Change the column from order date to ship date. Activate the relationship, if needed, and click Save. When you return to the model view and hover over the relationship line, you'll see ship date highlighted, confirming the change. If you change your mind, you can switch it back the same way, or even faster. Simply double-click the relationship line. Choose Order Date. Click Save. Adding and deleting relationships is just as easy. For example, if you want to remove the relationship between dim customers and the orders table, right-click the relationship line. Select Delete. To recreate it, just drag customer number from the fact table to the corresponding key in the dim customer table. In just a few seconds, the relationship is rebuilt. Therefore, Power BI's relationship view is designed to be fast, visual, and user-friendly. Whether you're activating a relationship, changing a column, or rebuilding a link between tables, all of these operations can be done in just a few clicks. Now let's take a look at how to make a relationship active or inactive in Power BI. There are two types of table relationships in Power BI Desktop, active and inactive. Consider this example. Our orders table contains two date fields, order date and ship date. While you can connect both of these fields to the date column in the dim date table, only one of those relationships can be active at a time. That's why one relationship line appears as a solid line active, while the other appears as a dotted line inactive. If you open the Edit Relationship dialog for both relationships, you'll notice that only one of them displays with a check mark for. Make this relationship active. The inactive relationship has a deselect check mark, indicating currently deactivated. In other words, Power BI does not allow two active relationships between the same pair of tables. Let's walk through this in the model view. In our orders table, we see the two date fields, order date and ship date. Right now, the relationship to dim date uses order date, making it the primary and active relationship. But we can also connect ship date to dim date without removing the original one. If you click and drag ship date to the order date field in dim date, Power BI will create a second relationship. Now you'll see order date to dim date with a solid line, indicating active. Ship date to dim date with a dotted line, meaning inactive. If you double-click the inactive ship date relationship and try to activate it, Power BI will block the action and display a message explaining that an active relationship already exists between these tables. To switch which one is active, double-click the active relationship. Uncheck. Make this relationship active. And save. Now both relationships are inactive. Double-click the ship date relationship. Check. Make this relationship active. And save. You've now swapped the active and inactive relationships. Both relationships still exist in the model, but only one can be active at any given time. To wrap up, in today's lesson we covered how to create table relationships, cardinality types in Power BI, how to manage and edit relationships, how to activate and deactivate relationships in your model. In the next video, we'll learn how to create and use hierarchies in Power BI. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to support our work and stay updated on upcoming lessons.